It's time for another pivotal earnings call for PayPal stock. And with PayPal being on a massive run, can this management team give us numbers that justify the current run, or will it be a big flop and send us right back down into the oblivion once again? So let's talk about what actually matters on this earnings call, and I'll give you my plan for PayPal stock. But I have one big concern as well in regards to these earnings that we got to talk about too. So we have a lot to get into today, guys. So just make sure you hit that like button if you like getting the truth without the hype, because that's what you're going to get today in regards to PayPal's earnings. All right, so let's jump into the top 3 things I'm looking for on these earnings. Then I'll give you my big concern, and then we'll talk about my exact plan for PayPal stock, because I have this feeling with everything else going on right now, the Fed, geopolitics, the election, everything else going on, we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of chaos there. So you got to be prepared. So I'll tell you exactly how I'm prepping for all that sort of chaos. And basically this earnings season in general is a little bit different than the normal third quarter earnings season that we're going to get this time around with all that other stuff going on. All right. So the first thing I'm looking for during these earnings is, will the turnaround be complete this year? All right. So this one right here, we're going to just basically start off easy. Is what Alex and team set out at the beginning of the year, are we still on track for that guidance or not? Are we still on track to have everything implemented that they want to have implemented by the end of the year? Is that going to happen this year or not? That right there is something really, really big to, kind of hear, to kind of say, and that could be positive or negative. So it could be one of those things to where they basically tell us, hey, yeah, we're going to hit, the 6 things over here we're going to hit, but this one over here, we may not hit it by the end of the year there. Of course, that could be negative. Of course, they could readjust their entire guidance down, their annual guidance. They could adjust that down. That right there could be another negative for the stock itself, but it could also be positive as well. They could say, yeah, not only are we on track to hit all of our goals for the year, 8 of 8, whatever the case was. I can't remember the exact number, but whatever that was. On top of that, we're going to go ahead and raise our guidance for the end of the year. We've already seen a couple of companies that have reported go ahead and raise their end of year guidance. So that right there is something that could obviously act as a huge catalyst moving forward. Even though we're already on a nice run, that could be something that keeps the run going if we get that sort of positive news in regards to the stock. But this right here is kind of a basics with your management team and with your earnings in general. Are you on track or not in the first place to hit your year-end numbers? You should have a pretty good idea by now. I mean, we're essentially 3 months away till the end of the year. Most companies should know whether or not they're going to hit that guidance or not, or even exceed that guidance or not. And so it's up to the management team as to how they want to communicate that. But the point being, that right there is critical to how this earnings is going to be played. So although it may be the easiest one of the 3 and the most obvious one of the 3, it may be one of the most important of the 3 things we're going to talk about today. Not the most important, but one of the most important. So number 2, what is the impact of getting rid of low profit offerings? All right, they set out up front to get rid of a lot of low profit, low margin, no margin, in some cases just loss leading products and offerings all the way around. They have been doing that. They've been giving us updates on that, but we need to know, what is the impact, if any, moving forward in regards to that? My guess is the vast majority of it is already done. They've already done, either ended those partnerships, chosen not to renew partnerships, gotten rid of some of the products, a lot of other things like that we've kind of seen. How much of that is left to go, if any? And then on top of that, when all that is complete, what is the impact to the bottom line, if any, in regards to that? And remember, it's also the management team. So it's kind of twofold. One, what's the answer to that? The other piece, the other side, is what is management and how are they going to frame this to get Wall Street to continue to come around to viewing something else other than just member count, user count. They need to continue to frame that work, because remember, one of the big things they were going to do is they were just going to, basically get rid of a lot of low profit, low margin offerings that, basically you had customers that didn't really use the product, weren't really bringing any money into PayPal, but yet it was costing PayPal in regards to that, because basically the strategy before with the prior management team was just grow user count at all costs. Doesn't matter if it loses money. Wall Street wants to see user count going up every quarter, quarter over quarter over quarter. And that right there was kind of their focus. So getting Wall Street to focus on EPS numbers and other metrics like that, and having them actually be more important in regards to that, is going to be another key factor. And more importantly, growing the right type users, right? So it's not just grow any user number at all costs, quality user. I would much rather have, 75% of the numbers that I had prior, if these are all high quality, high margin customers, versus having, that extra 25%, but having, 35% of all those customers be very low margin to no margin, basically maybe even losing customers in regards to money to the bottom line there. So making sure we're continuing to communicate that properly, and kind of if we're already through that trough, great. Then all we've succeeded in getting over there. So this right here is maybe the quarter to where we see that, but how effectively do they communicate that and where are we at in that process for me is the second thing that I'm looking for on this earnings. So on to the last thing that matters on this earnings. And like I said, I think the first one's important, but this one right here is the most important because it is going to determine the stock price in the future. And that right there is what I'm focused on. And that's kind of what you need to focus on with everybody's earnings. So not only does this last point matter in regards to PayPal's earnings, it really matters to everybody's earnings out there. Every single company you own, this is critical to seeing, and more importantly to the stock price, as to where the stock price is going and where valuation is going. That's exactly what we're doing in my group right now. We're getting into those earnings. We're discussing exactly what's going on in various companies, what's happening on the earnings call, what does it mean to the share price, what does it mean to the valuation, listening to the calls in real time. There's so much going on in there. So if you don't understand that, you need that information, and the spooky Halloween sale is going on right now where you get access to all that information. Myself, 5 courses, free coaching. Guys, there's so much involved. We'll talk more about it at the end, but it's the pinned comment down there. Again, we'll discuss it more at the end, but make sure you take advantage before the sale ends on Halloween. All right, so on to the last point here, and it's the biggest one. Is EPS guidance still on track, or worse, or is it even better? Alex has preached profitability from the start above everything else involved. Yes, he's talked about innovation. Yes, he's talked about moving PayPal from the back of the pack more towards being at the front of the pack like it was many, many years ago whenever it first came out and it was leading the fintech pack. He's wanting to get them back there. He's talked about that extensively. But in regards to earnings, he has discussed bringing profitability and that EPS number up. That right there has been the prime focus that's driven every other decision that they've made. So what I mean by that is, yes, they want to bring tech to the future, but they are not going to bring PayPal into the future for low margin, low profit, loss leading profits, or I guess that wouldn't be non-profits if it's loss leading. Anyways, they're not bringing forward tech that does that. Every single tech platform piece that they have brought forward has been to increase that EPS number on the back end. That right there has been the driving force on everything in regards to what they're doing. So are those efforts paying off, and are they paying off in a timely manner? They have done well so far. The past couple of quarters have been outstanding. There's been indications that they are continuing to move in that direction, but we need solid information on that, solid guidance. Of course, we'll get the numbers, but then solid guidance moving in towards the end of the year there in regards to that EPS number. And because we've had such a big run in the stock, if that news continues to be positive, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a giant surprise. Of course, that'd be great if it does. But if we end up with just positive numbers, that momentum, basically it would kind of mean we can kind of sustain where we're at and continue to march up because it's still undervalued. If we get a big surprise on that number, then that right there is whenever we can really start seeing PayPal continue the run that it's been on the past few months, which of course is great for us shareholders, especially those of us that have been buying it forever. It means I have a much larger position than I planned on, which of course means that I'll make more money over the long run if they can continue to sustain this and run. Now, if it does the opposite and they're kind of like, yeah, we're seeing nice EPS growth, but it's just, we're not quite seeing the fruits of our labor per se yet. It's coming in the future. That right there may, stifle the run for now, and we may end up seeing it back down. I don't think we'll see 50s again, but we may end up seeing it trade, it basically stay in that $60 to $70 range right up in there for the time being until the next quarter, whenever hopefully that number improves to a point where he's willing to give guidance to suggest that we're going to see big EPS numbers in the future there. That right there kind of be the next big catalyst for the stock per se. So right now, Wall Street is starting to get behind the stock, but we got to see that. That's how we get them to continue to be behind the stock, is to continue to see that EPS number improve either at expectation, and of course, better than expectation is even better. That right there is how we keep the momentum going in regards to Wall Street coming back into fintech and feeling like it is now a leader and it is now moving forward versus kind of being in a doghouse where it was forever before. So what is my big concern with PayPal stock? Well, it's Wall Street, guys. So what I'm about to say is stupid. It's dumb. It actually makes no sense in regards to what Wall Street says that they want, but it's the reality of Wall Street. And that would be that Wall Street continues and they hold on to the old metrics with fintech, and especially with PayPal in regards to kind of clinging to customer count counting more than EPS. That right there is my big concern, because you just have folks that just, I don't know how to say it, they're just slow to move. They're just slow to get behind what actually matters, and what matters on Wall Street in the first place has always been EPS. But of course, You set it up for years, maybe even a decade plus, where you've told them customer count is what matters the most. And now you still have some folks that are just like, nope, I'm just gonna, we're just holding PayPal to that right there, as opposed to actually getting down to what matters, which would be that EPS number. So that right there is my one big concern, is we still have some holdouts in regards to that. And so that way that kind of keeps the momentum, not necessarily stifled, but it definitely keeps it from being as bullish as it could be if we continue to see that. All right, so what is my plan for PayPal? All right, well, it should be no surprise here, guys. I have a ton of PayPal. I've said it. It's been on my buy list for how long now? Trust me. I have way more PayPal. We called it PayPal. We're kind of starting to move out of the PayPal in my group there in regards to calling it PayPal there. But I think we all still have a lot of scars and a lot of reflexes from the past pain with PayPal. So I have a lot of PayPal stock. Now, we're in a weird situation with the market to where a lot of the stocks that I want to buy are just either at fair value or a little bit overvalued. I don't have any that are crazy overvalued to where I'm thinking about selling or anything of that nature. I'll let other people get out there and try to guess where the right time to get in and out is. We all know exactly how that works out in the end. I have no interest in playing that game. But in regards to PayPal, because of that reason, and because I have my money loops going and I have capital coming in every single month to invest, I've got to invest somewhere. And right now, in regards to valuation, PayPal is still one of the best deals in the market. Not a screaming deal like it was when it was $50 per share, I agree. But it's not a terrible deal either at this stage. So I will still be looking to add PayPal, especially if I like the numbers. And for whatever reason, Wall Street gets dumb and just goes, well, you've had a big run the past couple months, so we're just going to beat you down unless you just have this, NVIDIA style quarter where it's just blown out of the water. All the numbers are to the moon, readjustment and guidance to the moon, everything to the moon. If Wall Street wants to get silly like that, well, that's an easy buy for me again. Yes, do I own too much PayPal? Absolutely. Is this part of investing sometimes where you end up heavier in a position than you want to be because that's the best deal in the market? Yeah, it happens. When you understand what you own and you're patient, while I'm waiting on other stocks to get cheaper, I end up building out larger positions in other stocks that were cheap. We saw that at various times where, hey, I really wanted to buy, take your pick of the stock you wanted to buy. We'll say Apple at the time or Tesla or whatever the case is, but it wasn't on a deal. They had both actually gone on great runs, and Palantir was the one beat down to $7 last year. It's kind of a scenario like that to where, hey, you had Tesla running up over 200, 250, 260, I believe at the time, and you could get Palantir down in this $7 range, $7, $8, $9, under $10 is the point just last year, while Tesla was on that style run. So I wasn't going to pay $260 for Tesla, absolutely not, but I was more than happy to buy Palantir. So I was just buying more of a stock that I wanted to add to a different stock, but I didn't necessarily get a chance to, because that's not where the deal was. And of course, I got a chance to buy Tesla later on. I never got the chance to buy Apple again. It just continued to run. It's just kind of that stock that continues to do that. But nonetheless, I got a chance to buy Tesla down in the 160 and 140 range this year. I just had to be patient for another year. And so for me right now, that's just kind of the way the ebbs and flows of the market go. So for me, I'll end up adding more PayPal if Wall Street wants to get dumb and beat it down. If it goes on a big run right there, hey, I've got plenty of shares and I don't need to do anything except for kick back and put my legs up. I don't have to play. That's the reason why you build out your positions while you have the chance, because when they run, that's the wrong time to try to build out a position. I'm able to just kick up my feet and relax and not try to play. Do I buy it now? Is it a buy now? I know it's on a run. Is it going to pull back? I don't care. I don't have to play any of those games. I have more than a full position. I got everything that I want in regards to PayPal. So I win regardless of what happens on this earnings call. And if you want to put yourself in that exact spot where you are winning, no matter what happens on your earnings calls, you are going to be a winner. Make sure you take advantage of the spooky sale where you get to learn all of that. We're direct access to me. You get your free coaching, 5 free courses. We got a stock analyzer tool you can use for free. You can be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there of investors helping you become a better investor. Heck, just our $250 portfolio challenge, I'm up over 40% in just over 6 months in regards to my buys in there. So there is so much going on, guys. You get all my buy and sell alerts in real time, my complete watch list with price targets. There's so much going on. Make sure you check out the pinned comment, take advantage of a membership before the sale ends. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.